Heather with NowThis. We're here in Dallas, Texas, just outside of the American Airlines Center, which is the largest polling location in Dallas County. I'm here with Austin, and he's going to talk to us about his current vote and the situation here in Dallas. So thanks so much for being with us today.
No problem.
So can you just tell us your name and how old you are?
Yeah, sure. My name's Austin. I'm 27 years old. It's my first time voting, so I'm pretty excited to be out here.
Yeah.
Just trying to help the cause.
Yeah. So why was this election the one you were like, okay, I'm going to come out for this one?
I mean, in general, I'm not a fan of the whole two-party process or anything like that. But I wouldn't really say it stopped me from voting in the past. It's just, different circumstances. But just within the last 4 years, there's been so many problems, and this is definitely the hardest time of my life. So, I just feel like I need to kind of do my part and, really do what I can to help out. So.
Yeah, so you said it's the hardest time in your life. Like, what issues kind of are impacting you, and what was it that made you come out?
Well, I mean, I think it's really just my desire to have, a leader. I feel like the past 4 years we haven't really been led to a good spot in this country, and so, really just, with the pandemic going on and social injustices, I just want to make sure that we have someone in the White House that's leading us and, trying to be the bias for against the bias.
So who are you voting for?
So I'm voting for Joe Biden. I just feel like, he's, just much more, first of all, qualified for the job. He has so much experience and his tenure, but also he's really worked to unify us all, whereas Donald Trump seems to be divisive on everything. So, I'd say that's the main reason probably for my vote.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're from Texas originally, so can you tell me about growing up here and how you ended up deciding on Biden?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a very conservative town, being in Texas, of course. But I wouldn't say.
What town was that?
It was Long Beach, Texas.
Okay.
So it's in East Texas, near Louisiana.
Okay.
I wouldn't really say I really was shaped by that environment, but it definitely influenced me growing up. And then once I was kind of on my own, I made my own decisions. I kind of realized where my own views led. So especially once I moved to Dallas, I kind of got some more like-minded friends and everything like that. And I think that's kind of shaped the way I view things.
What brought you to Dallas from your small town?
Really just a desire to be around more people that had, my desire to, I guess bring us all together. Because Dallas is a great spot, and it's not like my hometown where it's very divisive and everyone has very, far-right views, which is not my thing. And so I wouldn't say that was really what drove me here, but it was definitely a contributing factor, being around people I'm more comfortable with.
Yeah, so would you say that Texas is moving towards a blue wave, or would you still say it's pretty conservative overall? Like the people that you talked to and grown up with and also met in Dallas, what do you think the election results might look like?
I mean, to be honest, I think that the last 4 years has really turned Texas into a blue state. I mean, even, I have friends who have always been lifelong conservatives, but even they're questioning whether or not that's, the way they see things now. And so I think that, we might actually turn the tide a little bit over here.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And so, 2 years ago, we saw a really close race with Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz. So that kind of made a lot of people think, Texas is more purple than we originally thought.
Yes.
And so are you thinking this election is going to be even more?
No, I definitely think so. And I think that kind of gave a lot of us, kind of hope, we were like, oh, wow, for once, Texas might actually change. So I think the Beto and Ted Cruz election really helped out with it. It kind of got everyone kind of opening their eyes a little bit as to what else is out there based on, not just red and blue, but, just, kind of exploring different views and everything like that. So, I think it's definitely changing.
Do you think that, really tight race in 2018 contributed to you wanting to come out this year?
Oh,
or are you like, hey, maybe my vote matters, maybe I can actually do something this time?
Absolutely, yes. I've always been someone that's kind of been voter ignorant, to be honest. I'm like, how is one vote going to impact it? But I was like, I can play my part in this. So, definitely I think it was a contributing factor.
Yeah. So what was your experience like voting today with COVID and everything?
It was very awesome, especially here at the American Airlines Center. Everyone's really spaced out. There was hardly a line getting in. I had an issue with the Wi-Fi, but that wasn't anyone's fault. That was just technology. But I was in and out, in 15, 20 minutes. Everyone in there is very nice. Kind of wish I would have done this in the past, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, so did COVID kind of scare you at all from coming, or thinking oh well, this is gonna get complicated?
I mean, I've been to the American Airlines Center before, during COVID, and so I know how they've been taking everything very seriously. And to be honest, I just feel like even with everything going on, I still need to do my part.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of other people are going to feel that way, or are we going to see? Because because, okay, historically, Texas has had really low voter turnout. It's the 47th in the nation for voter turnout, and it's also like the second largest voting bloc, electoral bloc in the country. So it's like we have so much power here, but also almost no one is voting. So like, do you think that with COVID on top of that, that we're going to see less people coming out, or that maybe just the last 4 years are driving even more people?
I think the last 4 years are kind of going to overlap, all the fear and anxiety of COVID. I think that everyone's going to say, you know what, I still need to do my part. And however I need to vote, I'm going to get it done.
Yeah. So with your family, you said you left your small town. Do you think your family's voting and like your friends? What are you seeing from them, and what conversations are you guys having about the election?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, I kind of grew up in a conservative household, but even from my own parents, they're saying I'm still consider myself conservative, but I don't like the way things are going right now. So, I'm not sure who they would vote for. I don't want to speak on their behalf, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been a weird time for my family's household. They're kind of teetering between what their values are.
They're feeling conflicted.
Yes, and probably the first time of their voting
decades.
History. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And so, what about your friends?
My friends, they kind of are in the same boat as I am. They're really just not happy with the way things are going, especially with the social injustices. We're all in the streets marching, and all that stuff. So, I think we're all in the same boat in the sense of, we just want someone that's going to unify us all.
So, you're talking about the difference between conservative and more progressive viewpoints. So, living in the city in Dallas, Dallas itself is very urban and very populated, but it's in the middle of like this red state. So, like, what are you seeing in terms of that kind of purple dynamic in the city? Do you see that? Do you interact with people on varying viewpoints here, or is it very progressive in the city?
I would say just because I'm friends with mostly young people, it tends to be more blue, and so but there are people that, kind of like me who don't like the two-party process, that are like, I just want to vote for someone who I believe in and has the same values as me, no matter what party it may be a part of. So
And so, you talked a little bit about wanting a leader in the White House. Is there any like issues that have stood out to you? Like, there's all sorts of people who are talking about healthcare, education, COVID. There's like criminal justice you mentioned. There's so many different issues right now that are pulling people out. What is like something that you're like, this is what I care about?
Yeah, I would say that COVID really brought out everything. To be perfectly honest, everything was already kind of not looking good from the get-go, but also I feel like COVID and the social injustices you have really brought out and brought everything to the forefront. Like I said, where even conservatives might be looking at this saying this isn't the way it should be going. So I'd say those are the two main issues. I'm not like I said, a very political person, so some of the very specific stuff I just don't really know much about.
And that's fine. And a lot of people aren't political. A lot of people just feel like they kind of have to be now. But what did you think of the debates, and what did you think of all the campaigning that's been going on?
I'm still trying to get the headache down from the debate, but nothing was accomplished. I feel like there wasn't a winner, but in the end, I know, I can see, Joe Biden, for example, looked into the camera and said, address the American people, whereas Donald Trump was just trying to yell and, try to interrupt, and so one of them looked more presidential than the other, I think. So.
Okay. Yeah, but still kind of a circus.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. And thanks for talking to us. Mike, did you have anything for Austin? Okay, well, thank you so much, and we're gonna try and get some more voters, and appreciate it. And good job doing your civic duty.
Thank you.
Yeah, and best of luck today.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Great to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks. Okay, Mike. I'm here with Brian. Good shot setup. Is the lighting all right? Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Heather. I'm with NowThis News. We're here at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas, and I'm standing here with Brian, who just voted. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So can you introduce us, introduce yourself and how old you are and how many times you've voted?
My name's Brian. I'm 39 years old. I voted pretty regularly and voting here as early as possible because it's so important.
Yeah.
And just want the nightmare to be over.
Okay, so why was it so important for you to vote?
Because Donald Trump is terrible and the worst person that's ever happened in this country. So trying to do my part and try to get everybody else I know to get out and do it.
Okay, so does that mean you voted for Biden? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Democrat ticket, straight up and down.
Okay, so are you passionate about Biden?
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell us why you think he's a good leader or whatever it is?
I think he's going to be, I mean, it's a low bar, but he's going to be much more unifying. And I think, I think the country's more progressively less than where we're at currently. And I think hopefully this is sort of a wave election where we get a whole lot of left-leaning folks. So
how long have you lived in Texas?
15 years.
15 years. Okay,
Yep.
so have you seen the tide kind of turning over the years?
I saw it turn 2 years ago with Beto.
Okay.
Before, it sort of felt like the state where your vote didn't really matter because, number one, it's so gerrymandered in all these districts here, and you felt like there's no way a Democrat could win sort of statewide. It just wasn't anything that happened since 1994.
Yeah.
And with Beto, you can kind of feel everything shifting. I
Yeah.
mean, people don't realize we have six of the biggest 20 cities in America. And if anything we've shown the last 4 years, it's cities trending much more blue. And it's just, this guy has just lit a fire under everyone.
Yeah, so historically Texas has had really low voter turnout.
That's by design.
Okay.
That's what they want to do.
Okay.
They want to make it hard. That's why you can't vote. That's why you can't register online. That's why they have one ballot drop box in 4.7 million person county of in Houston. So
Yeah.
it's by design because they know if all of us vote, they're going to lose.
Okay. So what do you think about like the latest efforts with the governor trying to limit ballot drop boxes per county? And
I mean, it's voter suppression. It's like that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's just they strictly don't want people to vote.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Because they know if we all vote, they'll lose. Because there's more of us than there are of them. We just, as Beto said, we're not a red or blue state, we're a non-voting state. And it's by design.
Okay. So, you said you've lived here for 15 years. Have you, the circles that you've been in and the cities that you've lived in, have you seen like a purple dynamic or just mostly conservative voters and you've been kind of like the sore thumb, or have you seen, an urban, what have you seen in terms of the dynamic there?
Well, I live sort of in the city, so it's
Okay.
it's definitely blue.
Okay.
It's much more of that than you see a lot of folks trending that way.
Yeah. So how often do you kind of deal with people that are of opposing viewpoints?
Quite a bit. I'm in construction, so to
Okay.
say I'm a little bit of the minority in that, I would say is fair.
Okay. Yeah. So do you think that there's like tension, or do you think everyone here is kind of like just trying to figure it out together?
No, I think ultimately, when you talk to people, what gets amplified is this far side, when the bulk of people are pretty much in there. And if you actually can have a conversation with folks, and not actually, if you talk to them, you're probably closer to them than you think. Ultimately.
So what do you think the election's going to tell us here?
In Texas,
Uh-huh.
I think they're going to be startled by. I'm really looking forward to see the early voting numbers in the big cities in the first 3 weeks, because I think that's going to startle some folks. I mean, we added 2 million voters since 2016, so it should be. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay, got it. Okay, so what is voting during COVID been like? Were you a little nervous about that, or?
No, I mean, every place even in the primaries, you have hand sanitizer. Everybody's distanced. You know, they wipe down all the instruments. You know, they wear a mask and it should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. So we read that masks for voters are not mandatory in Texas. So like in the Dallas County polling locations, we're seeing everyone's wearing
I was about to say
masks.
I didn't see anybody not.
Yeah, but like I wonder, do you think like in other locations in the suburbs or further out, do you think that would become a problem?
I don't know. I think in general, like if you look at polling, like 70% of people believe wearing masks, regardless of party.
Okay.
There's a certain segment that it's virtue signaling not to wear one, but
Yeah. Okay. So, were there any issues that particularly drove you towards voting? Healthcare, criminal justice, education, anything?
all of the above.
All of the above.
All of them.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not one thing in particular.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on voting today.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bye. So we're here in Dallas, Texas at the American Airlines Center, which is the largest voting location in Dallas County. Over 1 million registered voters live in this area, and so we're seeing a lot of voters here. Most of the people we've talked to actually voted blue, and it's really interesting to see that. It's probably, we're in such an urban area, and that's what a lot of the voters are attributing that kind of influx to. It's been really interesting, and the results of this election are going to be very telling and very impactful in 2020. And so thanks for joining us. We're going to have another live stream later today, and so thank you so much, and stay tuned. Dallas, Texas. I'm going to go grab a couple more voters to talk to and hear their thoughts about this election, so sit tight. about their experience today. So can you please introduce yourself to the camera and how old you are and how long you've lived in Dallas?
Sure. I'm David. I'm 35. Moved to Dallas about 6 months ago, from the suburbs before that.
Okay. So how long have you been living in Texas?
Well, outside of school, I've lived here my whole life.
Okay. Awesome. So have you seen kind of any transitions in Texas and like the direction they've been leaning in terms of their voting?
Well, with a lot of people coming from out of state, it's changed. But I came from the suburbs. It's a lot more conservative. So coming here in Dallas, I'm seeing a lot more liberal.
Yeah.
So I can't really say whether I don't think really the suburbs have changed much, and I can't really speak to Dallas itself because I didn't actually live here before.
Right.
To see how liberal and conservative it is.
Yeah. So what was it like voting today? You're in COVID, you have a baby with you. Is that a concern at all, or do you think it was pretty safe?
There's nobody in there. We came on purpose the first day in the morning to make sure that there wasn't anybody around.
Okay.
And honestly, to make sure we did not forget to vote. And I'm not going to wait till November 3rd. So.
Yeah. Was there any particular issues that drove you to voting today?
Well, I always try to vote if I'm in the country or otherwise, but the only issue was to make sure, to do my part to make sure Donald Trump didn't win.
Okay, so did you vote for Biden?
I did.
Okay, so is there do you think that Texas has a chance of going blue this year?
No, but I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
I don't really care about going blue, to be frank.
Okay.
I care about Donald Trump losing.
Okay, so it's less about the party, it's more about the better option.
Yep.
Okay, got it. So in terms of, healthcare, criminal justice, education, is there anything like that you think matters a lot right now?
Well, a lot matters right now, but I personally believe that we need someone that is a better leader for our country and is a more ethical and moral leader. So that's why I don't love Biden, but that's why I would prefer him over Trump. Other issues, I lean red and blue on either ones depending on the issue. So.
Yeah. And how do you think the government is doing right now? In the midst of this pandemic and economic collapse, like how are we dealing?
Well, I don't think the government can do too much about the economic collapse, to be honest. So I don't like to blame the government for that. I just think we're doing about as well as we can hope for where we're at as far as the whole country and the whole world, frankly, with economics. So.
Yeah. And so you were saying you don't think that Texas is going to go blue. Do you think, Texas is becoming more purple since 2018 and the whole Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz race?
Oh, I think you're probably looking at another 10 years or so before
they're ready for that
a toss-up type thing. So that's just my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe enough people will not like what Republicans are doing. I voted against other Republicans just for their support of Trump.
Okay.
So.
Well, so it looks like she's ready to go.
Yes.
But thank you so much for your time today. This is really helpful, and I'm sure our viewers love hearing from you.
No problem. Have a good
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, guys, so we're here in Dallas, Texas at the American Airlines Center. We've been talking to voters all day about their vote and why they felt compelled to vote in this election despite the pandemic, despite possible lines and all of that. So we've seen really short lines here on the first day of early voting. Polls just opened at 8 a.m. and it's about 9:24 right now. So people have been saying that they've been in and out pretty quick, and everyone we've talked to has voted blue. Of course, we are in the downtown Dallas area, and that may change going further and further out of the bigger cities. And so this has been a really interesting conversation. Thanks so much for sticking with us, and follow us throughout the day for more.